Hello and welcome back to the 5th episode of WCAT Chats, and we have a great episode today.
Yeah, so today we're going to be kind of, focusing on the girls soccer program with a couple of special interviews with a couple of college cats and a soccer coach. So stay tuned and you can hear a little bit of that.
Yeah, I mean, all the sports just wrapped up recently, and so we're kind of turning the page when it's fall turning into that winter's time. So we got a chance to catch up with some of the coaches and some of the players, so let's take away and let's go to the interviews.
Great. Thanks, Alex. Today we're joined with a 2022 grad Henley Tippins. So, hey.
Henley, how are you doing today?
Good, how are you?
Pretty good, yeah. So you want to go ahead and introduce yourselves, tell the listeners a little bit about you?
Yeah. I'm Henley. I just graduated last year. I'm playing soccer here at Georgetown, and I'm majoring undeclared in the business school here.
Oh, wow. Interesting. So we're just going to start you off with some questions. So what was your favorite moment playing for Westminster soccer?
Ooh. I would have to say, actually, this is not even a question. State championship my senior year. I hit a side volley, and we've been tied with, who were we playing? GAC, I think, the whole time. I don't think anything beats that.
I'm sure. So, I mean, the Westminster soccer program has been, a powerhouse for the past couple of years. So what do you think that makes the Westminster soccer program so good and why they've been so good for so long?
I think it's a group of girls that we've been playing together for a while, behind the scenes. I think that always helps for chemistry. Like Evelyn, Allie, Kira, Helen, these are girls I've been playing with since I was like 7. But to the coaches' credits, they do a great job of, there's a difference between having talent and being able to bring all of us together and make us play together. And the coaches do such a good job of that here, whether it was Coach Meyer, Coach Logren. So kind of getting the whole team to buy into what we're trying to do. It's a lot easier said than done. And I would say that's probably like the two things.
Yeah, again, going back to the state championships, did you have a specific one that was like most memorable and like why?
I would probably say my senior year, just because it was such an interesting year, and the fact that we had such a we had so much talent, but we actually struggled in the beginning to kind of like all get along on the field. Like we weren't connecting. So that's like Janie and I had to kind of go in and figure out, okay, well, how do we get kid A to connect with kid B? And so I think it, like, honestly, the state championship was the first time like we had kind of like overcome like adversity in a game. And it was just like kind of the thing that where everything kind of paid off and we saw it all come together. So for me, probably also because it's my senior year, I felt a little more ownership over that team. That one really meant a lot.
Yeah, so let's kind of leave the soccer field and go maybe a little bit off the field. So I think we all remember the wonderful assembly talking about the girls Douglas soccer team. So you want to tell us a little bit about that?
Yeah, just the backstory and what we were doing.
Yeah.
Okay, so we played Douglas High School my junior year, and which means it was like it was during COVID, and so like our type A selves, we could not spare like an hour, and they were late, and we're like, we have tests tomorrow, like we gotta go, like this is so annoying, we're gonna mercy rule this team anyways. In hindsight, it was really bad of us, but so we couldn't figure out why this team was late. It was their home field. Turns out they only had 10 girls to play that day because half of their team didn't have access to transportation to get to the game. And so we kind of reached out, and it was an extremely underfunded program. But the thing that stood out to us was that the girls were so nice, and they were genuinely like the most supportive, like so much sportsmanship. It was incredible. And when we found out afterwards, it was just like shocking. And so I just like, it really, really bothered me because it was a 10-minute drive from Westminster's front gate. Like that's crazy. So we kind of got together and used all of our networking. We kind of pulled together some money, some clothes, and some equipment, and we kind of built a relationship with Douglas more than just any of the donations. Like they came over and had pizza with us after a game. They were there for a regional game. So really just a new relationship with them. And yeah, that besides in the game, that's another one of the most like memorable things from my high school career at Westminster.
I think that's just what makes Westminster so great is not only are y'all great on the field, in the classroom, but you also go out of your way to help others. And, that's just all what it's about being a Westminster student.
Yeah, I
So,
think the way that they kind of programmed us, like there was no hesitation of what needed to be done. It wasn't an if, it was when and how we were going to do that. So
how would you say that Westminster prepared you for college?
I would say, first of all, writing. If anyone's listening to this and they're like have to crunch out a paper for an English class, I promise it pays off. Um, I would also say time management. Obviously, it's not easy to be at a good school anywhere and manage everything, but especially for me, like I have to do practice and balance everything right now. It's a lot. And
Mhm.
so it's not that it gets any easier with how much you have to do. It's just like you've been in those situations before where you're getting home from practice and you have to crunch out a paper for Miss Patel at like 11. Like those are real situations and I'm familiar with them. And so really like nothing really phases me in terms of what I have to do. So I would say that's the biggest thing.
Talking about Miss Patel, have you had any like teachers or anything that really stood out to you? Maybe a couple favorite teachers?
Yeah, I have a few. I would say Miss Patel is obviously one of them. I had her as my advisor all 4 years, and I had her for English 2 years. So she's got to probably take the cake. Miss Chen had her for 2 years. I probably drove her crazy, but by our senior year, like she was my go-to. There are a few others. Miss Pangle, literally one of the sweetest people I've ever met in my entire life. Um, those are the ones that stand out to me.
Mm-hmm. Now, out of the classroom, were there any coaches in particular, either at Westminster or even at your club soccer, that really helped you?
Yeah, I would say at Westminster, Coach Wild, Coach Romberg, Coach Lucas, Coach Lochran. I was a football manager, but the football coaching staff kind of went beyond the football. So those three plus Coach Lochran. Um, I would say at in club, I had my club coach. He literally picked me up at a low in my career, and then this past summer we won the national championship together. Like he's just one of those coaches you never forget. Um, yeah, I mean I've been blessed with some of the best coaches I can think of, um, but some really good ones at Westminster.
Yeah, talking about Coach Lochran, we're actually going to be interviewing her later on today as well. So could you kind of tell us like what's your favorite Coach Lochran moment?
Wow. It. Ooh. There are some stories that she tells just to kind of teach us, and they're usually about her own failures. But I feel like some of them I should let her tell those. Um, um, one specific. I can't think of one specific.
You can do a couple if you want.
Well, the thing is, for me and her was her dad was military, my dad was military, and she
Mhm.
kind of coached us through like this like military type like lens, which I appreciated a lot. So a lot of that's the thing that makes her so great is it's not one moment with the whole team as much as it is like little moments with individuals, which kind of makes the whole entire team experience like more personable. Um, so yeah, I really don't think there's one moment that stands out to me as much. It's just like every interaction, she truly is like she's very memorable.
I can definitely vouch for that. I swim, so having her as my coach. I mean, there's just countless, just everything when she comes into practice, just every day. She always has energy and she's always trying to push you to do better. And I
Yeah,
think she's one of the best coaches I've ever had.
yeah, and she really is. She's got all the coaching licenses. We'd always joke about this. She's got all the coaching licenses, whatever. She coached ODP, but like the things that separates her from other coaches, it's not a tangible thing. It's not a license. It's nothing like
hmm
that. She's just special.
Yeah, so kind of you guys talked about a little bit about your recruiting. Like you're talking your club soccer. So can you kind of tie that in with like the recruiting process and how that went for you? Because for everyone, it's a little bit different.
Yeah, so my recruiting process was this weird. First of all, we were the first year with the June 15th rule, which basically said you couldn't talk
Oh
to college
yeah.
coaches before junior year June 15th of your junior year. So very different. We were kind of navigating it solo because it was also kind of during COVID. But I was really fortunate. Like I met some of the most amazing coaches. You did it right when those phone calls to tell a coach you're not going there are really hard, and I definitely had some hard phone calls. Um, but yeah, so I just I heard from a lot of the people I wanted to hear from, which was great. And then from there, it's a lot of phone calls, a lot of relationship building. You figure out who you could see as your coach in the future. Obviously, like academics, being a Westminster kid, that was important. So I quickly narrowed on like kind of filtered my way through the academic schools. And then we actually didn't get visits, so I took like tours, quote unquote, at my top four, which ended up being UVA, Princeton, Georgetown, and Wake. So, but even then, it was all different. So it was honestly the great thing about it though was it was all about getting to know people because nobody was rushing. There was nowhere to be in the middle of the pandemic.
So what made you choose specifically Georgetown out of those four schools?
Yeah, it's funny. I almost called off the visit because I love UVA so much. I took my visit with Helen Simbis, my best friend. So almost called this one off. But my dad was just like, hey, because Dave was my favorite coach. So that's my head coach. I was like, I owe Dave a visit. He's a great guy. I literally could see myself playing for him. I can't just not go. So I went and I was sitting, if anyone's ever been in DC, I was sitting on M Street at Clyde's on there was a seat by the road, and I just was like, this is where I just felt home. I can't really explain it. It was just the most reassuring feeling. I was like, this is where I'm going to school. So yeah.
How have you been liking Georgetown so far? How's the team, the academics? How's that all going?
Yeah, I love it. I don't think I've ever laughed as much as I have the past few months with the team. Like the group of girls, I know everybody says like, oh, I love my team. Like I truly would go to war with this team. And the girls are just so supportive. Like they picked us up right away. So the team is great. We're honestly playing really well. We just won the Big East regular season, but the expectation is obviously to win the Big East postseason, and then the bigger goal is to win and go as far as we can in the NCAA tournament. So, but we're on track to do that. So everything is great. I unfortunately broke my foot 5 games in, so it's really been a testament of okay, how much do you love the school and how much do you love this team because you're not doing the thing that you want to be doing right now. And it really has. It's reassured me like I came here for the right reasons. And the academics are hard, but the professors are interesting. I'd rather be sitting in a hard class with an interesting professor than an easy class who doesn't want to teach. So
Obviously, you only played 5 games, but those first 5 games were pretty good. After your college basically debut, you won Freshman of the Week. What was that like getting recognized by the conference about your abilities on the soccer field?
yeah, it was definitely cool. I think it was more just like it was a reminder, like, okay, you're here for a reason. Like you can play, so relax. Like just you belong. But I just on every team I've ever been on, it's not it's not the like the awards and stuff like that. Like they don't matter until it's an overarching award like a trophy or like till you finally get to the destination, which obviously I didn't get the chance to do. But it was definitely like it was a nice pick me up for all the nerves that are very normal freshman year.
Yeah, so like talking about your teammates and your kind of family that you've kind of formed. So can you tell us like how you've been bonding with your teammates, having like any special retreats or anything like that?
Yeah, we have a really interesting Dave has been doing this thing for 23 years, same hotel, same everything. So we go to Germantown, Maryland for like a week and a half. When you first get there, you put your bags down and go. And you're rooming with girls you've never met before. It's just like definitely an immediate like, okay, this is who I'm with now. And we play like 2 days every day, and if you're not playing, you're probably sleeping or eating with your teammates. So I would say that was probably the immediate thing. It's like, okay, this is how this goes now, and you might as well all get along. So I loved that. I thought that helped a lot. And then we went tubing down the Potomac, which was so cool. But like away from DC, so the water wasn't so gross. And well, the seniors are great about having us over to their house. So the team bonded. I felt it was a very, very natural transition.
So do you have any personal or maybe team goals for over the next 3 years, maybe even like professional soccer or soccer beyond this level?
Yeah. I one of them was I wanted to score the most in the Big East as a freshman, but obviously maybe a little redshirt freshman. Um, and I say this and I don't say it lightly. I want to win a national championship. It's not something that I just talk about. Like I was fortunate enough to do it at the club level, and now that I've tasted that, I want to do it at the college level. So that's obviously like that's my end game goal. Um, and then, I think I have to take it year by year. You can't like assign a senior year goal to a freshman or anything like that. So for now, I want to score the most as a freshman in the Big East, and then if I want All American, that would be the next one I would say.
What would you kind of say and what are your strengths and weaknesses as like a soccer player?
Ooh, I'll do weaknesses first.
Okay.
I think that I'm not gonna like physically, I'm never gonna outrun the fastest kid on the field. I know that about myself. I'm never the slowest, but I'm never not the fastest. So it kind of makes me, I would say, to counter that, and I have to understand the game. So I would say like I see the field really well. So I kind of make up with speed for how I see the field.
Mhm.
I would also say I'm probably a little intense at first. Like leadership wise, I'm probably a little bit intense. I would say that's probably like something I should work on. But I would say on the flip side of that, I think leadership, um, and just kind of like relationship building on a team is something I do well off the field. Um,
Mhm.
so yeah.
So like, to kind of wrap us up, do you have like any messages that you would want to say to any like, young soccer girls or maybe just any young students in general?
Yeah. I would say don't let your bad days be that low and don't let your good days be that high. You just gotta kind of keep consistent or else it can really put you in a mental funk. That goes for soccer, academics, whatever it is.
Mhm.
Um, for the soccer, I would say just make sure you're loving what you're doing. I've been on both sides of it where I just want to wake up and play soccer, and there have been days when I've been in such a bad slump where I'm just not in a healthy relationship with the game. So always make sure your first priority is that you're having fun and enjoying it, and then surround yourself with the absolute best coaches and players that push you to be your best. And then
Mhm.
academically, I would say like, or just for young girls, just make sure whatever you're doing, it doesn't have to be soccer. Make sure you're enjoying it, and just honestly, I think the people around you make you. So always surround yourself with the best people possible. And that's easier. It's at places like Westminster. It's easy at places like Georgetown. So I've been really fortunate.
Yeah, well, thank you so much, Henley, for coming on. Wish you the best of luck. Sorry about that. Wish you guys the best of luck on your collegiate career and the future.
Thank you so much.
Okay, so now we are here with Coach Lochran, and how is your day going?
It's great, thank you. Beautiful out.
So you want to kind of tell us a little bit about yourself, as a coach, your background?
Yes, I've been coaching, actually swimming and soccer both for about 38 years. As far as the soccer, I've been fortunate enough to be able to get all my United States Soccer Federation licensing, and I've coached just about every level in soccer, from youth to semi-pro, and so I've got a lot of experience, and it's been enriched by so many young people, and so many of those experiences I'm just real fortunate to have had.
Mm-hmm. Do you have any favorite moment coaching the girls at Westminster?
Oh gosh, there's so many. I can't even begin to tell you, but one of the things that I guess brings me the most joy is when I see them put in the hard work, and then they get rewarded. But probably the single moment is when they set their sights on a goal and they achieved it by winning the state championship last year. And so I have to say that was the highlight of the season, but there were lots of steps in between, from incidents at practice to even off the field gatherings when we got together with the Douglas team, which was spearheaded by the players, in particular Henley Tippins. That was a really special moment.
Yeah. So she kind of mentioned the ODP, the Olympic program. So you want to tell us a little bit about that, how you got into it, what you took out of it?
Right. The Olympic Development Program, it's actually changed the face of soccer. It used to be the only avenue to get into the national team, was to participate in the Olympic Development Program. Now there's lots of avenues now, which is great because that way we don't miss players. And, you know, especially if they don't have the money to participate, we're not going to miss them now because there's lots of avenues to get to the national team. But at one point, the Olympic Development Program was the only way to get into the national team. And I coached in ODP for lots of years. And as a matter of fact, I knew a lot of the players from ODP. Helen Simbis, and, you know, in the year before, Emma Riley began. And so I knew a lot of the players from ODP when they were like 12 and 13.
Yeah.
So.
So you're, we've got some research a little bit about you. You coached at Walton previously. So do you have any like coaching highlights or just like, you know, like memos that you'd like to coach by?
Well, yes, I do. And the biggest thing for me, it's about the players having an amazing total experience. It's not, you know, the winning will come if you do the right thing. And soccer's not as easy in swimming as far as the clock helps you dictate a lot, and people kind of, you know, sometimes it's one coach might like one style and that player fits in better to that. So sometimes, you know, accepting roles and feeling viable is a big gist that I try to do so that every player feels like they're important. And so that is, from my experiences at Walton, that helped me when I even came here, you know, to provide a great experience, an overall experience, not just winning.
Now, coming over here from Walton, you kind of stepped into a soccer program that had already won some state championships. What was it like going into a team with such pedigree? And
Coach Meyer had done a great job, and the girls were great players, and I have to commend them because it was difficult for them. It was kind of easy for me in the sense, when I say that, is I had a great coaching staff, and then the kids were so receptive, or the young ladies, I should say, they're not children. They were so receptive to me and really welcomed me with open arms. And it wasn't broken. It was successful.
Yep.
And then with my experience with the modern game, I wanted to make sure I provided for them, the girls, especially going off to college to play, that they will hear things at the next level. I wanted to make sure that we provided that here. So it was a matter of just letting us progress this season with a process. And I commend them because they trusted the process, and we were able to do some really high-level stuff because they're so good, to be honest.
I know you mentioned coaching swimming and soccer. Are there any like differences between like coaching styles that you've kind of experienced?
I think, you know, I am who I am, and I try to be authentic, but I will say that swimming is just a different kind of sport. You have to put in a few more hours in practice because the quantity does matter. And and like I said, the clock doesn't lie. And a lot of times, even though it's the same thing it's about progress and not perfection, it's a little more, I guess it's a little easier for swimmers and divers to take their role and embrace it. And where in soccer sometimes, you know, a player with one coach might play a different role, but in the system that, you know, another coach sees or puts in, they play this role, and sometimes they don't, it's uncomfortable. But I'd say as far as, I wouldn't say it's easier, these are just different. It's different.
Now, I know you do this for swim. I don't know if you do it for soccer, but before every swim practice, we do mindfulness. How'd you get that routine, and what do you think it brings to the practice?
Well, I think we incorporated it into soccer as well this year. That went a little slower because, when you've been doing it year after year, you get used to it and look forward to it. But I think it allows you a moment just to separate from your academic day so you can really enjoy and embrace the practice, the meet, whatever you might be doing. And so it's also, if you practice it enough, it's just like anything, it will enhance your performance. It is performance enhancing, because there's lots of times that you might get a call that you don't like, or that you're upset with something a teammate might have said to you, and this allows you to just, process it and respond instead of reacting.
So Henley was kind of talking about, you had a lot of little talks about your personal failures and successes to kind of teach them how to become a better person and a better athlete. So you want us kind of maybe a little bit share a little bit about that?
Well, just, I do have a wealth of experiences, and I feel like that if you can learn from each other's experiences, and even as a coach, and it's not so much talking about, I did this, I did that. It's more like, at this moment in my life, I learned this. And so, for instance, I did move out of my home my junior year so I could get some opportunities, and it was tough. And I used to tell them that my favorite Christmas song was "I'll Be Home for Christmas," because I would go home to see my family when, because I was away at a very young age. And that experience shaped me in a lot of ways. And the only thing about telling them is so they could understand that when I say something or when I coach a certain way, they can understand where it's coming from. If they know me, it's like if you truly know, and I try to get to know each one of them as best I can, because then I know that sometimes, they might be doing this or this or this because of, I just know who they are, and that's what makes them better, but also what makes them tick, or also why they're the way they are. And I think, we're in a relational business with coaching, and if you can get to know each athlete, I think the coach, and I learned this actually from Coach Booth a lot, the athlete-coach relationship is vital.
Do you have one sport that you prefer coaching, soccer or swim? I'm sure that's a difficult question, but what stands out? Is there anything in swim or something, or that's your favorite part, or soccer? What stands out?
I love them both. I always say my favorite sports are the two S sports, and swimming and soccer, but I honestly, I couldn't tell you. There's certain things that, I enjoy coaching the guys team the way I don't get in the soccer. I like that. I like having guys and girls together because it really is a nice mesh. But I mean, other than that, they're slightly different, and I love them for what they are.
So kind of talking about the soccer program this year, are there any special matchups or anything that you've seen that you kind of ready for? Any goals this season?
Oh, yes. And I'll be honest, we learned a lot last year when we got our butts kicked by BT. I mean, that was it honestly was a great wake-up moment, because I remember Allie Ross even saying, we got to get together because we're better as a unit, not with great individual soccer players. And so this year we've got BT again, and that'll be a great matchup. We're going to be playing at the University of Georgia for a matchup with Providence Day, and that's always a great matchup, and that'll be a great environment. And of course, we've got a new region, so we have to be respectful of that. And then we've got some good 7A schools like defending state champion West Forsyth, so that'll be great. And so that's so great. And getting back to the BT game last year, part of what propelled us after that game to great success was our leadership
Mm-hmm.
by Henley and Janie and our goalie, Sydney Moore.
So you talk about all this leadership, and you've lost a lot last year, and you're going to lose even more this year. Do you see any girls, either who are juniors or sophomores right now, that you're thinking can really step into leadership roles in the future or can really help the team?
Oh, yes. Yes. I mean, we really, that's one thing I'm proud of Westminster is it is a leadership academy as well. And they're so, you don't have to have captain by your name to be a great leader. And I truly embrace that thought because we've got a couple of young girls on the team that I think they will provide a lot of leadership. Alex Fallon is one that I think she's so likable and magnanimous, and so she will be a great leader for us. This year we've got Evelyn Shores, who's really her experience, but she is one of the most humble, likable people I know, and then we'll have Allie Ross as a captain, and we have Margot Carr, and we'll have Kira Stouty. And so that leadership group is going to be amazing for this year. And then, like I said, for the next year coming up, we've still just loaded.
So who are some players maybe that are under the radar that you think that can make like a big leap or big jump this season?
I'd have to say Harper. I think she'll probably be able to really blossom and grow this year. We're looking forward to her taking a big role. Sydney Watson, I think, we're excited about what she can bring. And let's see, we call her Wheezy. Kate Davis is a fine young player. All right.
Okay.
To sort of wrap this up, we're going to end you with the same question that we ended with Henley. So if you could say something to maybe a young player, your young, even coached, what would you say to them to kind of, help them grow?
Just to work hard. Don't beat yourself up. Be self-compassionate. And, be authentic, and good things will come to you. And enjoy your soccer. Enjoy everything that you do, because that's what will enrich your life.
Thank you for joining us today. We had a great time talking, and have a great soccer season and swim season. First meets this Friday.
Right. Hopefully all the cats will be out there to cheer us on.
Same time as a
Against College.
football game, though.
Well, it's earlier. We'll
Yeah,
be done
it's
by
tight.
the time the football, so you come out
Okay.
to the swim meet and then head on down to the field.
Yeah.
Thank you guys for having me.
Thank you so much
Thank
for
you.
coming on.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Beautiful interviews with Coach Locker and Ann Henley. So thank you so much for coming out, and make sure to tune into WCAT on NFHS to see the soccer games and even the swimming games in the future.
Swim meets, not
Swim
games.
meets, yeah. So now we're going to kind of shift this over to a quick little sports segment to wrap up the episode. So the football team, they're 5-3 on the year while going 2-1 in region play, which has been really good. They're looking tonight or Friday. They have senior night. So we're trying to end the region strong with senior night, so come out and support 7:30 at home, Southwest DeKalb. So it's a pink out, so watch on NFHS, part of WCAT. I know we'll all be excited to watch the game. It'll be a great game against a good Southwest DeKalb team.
Yeah, so sadly, the volleyball year ended last year. They had a last week. They had a really strong year. A lot of young players were on the all-region team. And, I think they're showing steps for progression in the future, and can't wait to see how well they come back next year.
Yeah, same thing with the Batcats and the girls softball team. They ended 16-14. I know we had our interview with CC Schrader last week, so make sure to go tune into that episode. They were so excited on being able to go to Columbus for the tournament, but they just missed out. So they have a lot of young stars as well. So their future is bright, and so we wish them most congratulations on their great season and wish them good luck in the future.
Last night was cross-country region. Palmer Wallstad won the whole region by over a minute. Well, actually not over a minute, but
About a
by
minute.
basically a minute, which is crazy. Other girls finishing in the top 10. You had Lucy Johnson coming in 5th, Eloisa Bloom in 6th, and Frances Munger in 7th, as well as Madison Townsend in 10th. I mean, the leaderboard is basically half Westminster, which is really impressive considering there were more than 2 teams there. Our cross-country girls have a very strong program, and they have state a week from Saturday. So next week, we're going to try to get an interview with some of them so we can hear more about their season.
Yeah, so going on to the boys' side of things, the boys also won the region, and Joseph Jaco got second place by only 7 seconds behind UNC commit Joseph Pone, who is at Holy Innocents, but still only 7 seconds behind. A big
impressive.
D1 commit is great for Joseph, and Joseph's still a junior, so he has a lot of room to get better. But again, like you said, the girls kind of swept the competition on the leaderboard. The boys did the exact same thing. From second place to 6th place, all of them were Westminster, including 8th and 9th. So big performance from S. Dio, William Mendel, Jaco, Joseph's brother, Sam Moss, Chase Hunsaker, and Tyler Robinson.
Yeah, really impressive showing last night. Obviously, it was their home course, so a bit more experience than some of the other guys, but just really fast, and can't wait to see how they do in state. Moving on
To winter sports.
Yeah,
Because fall
winter
sports are starting to wrap up now. We're starting to see the playoffs, kind of like region tournaments, state tournaments coming together. But I know you want to talk to us a little bit about swim?
Sure. So swim has their first meet this Friday against Collins Hill. I think it'll be, I don't even know what time, maybe 5, but it'll be over before the football game. So if you really want a day full of Westminster sports, go watch the swim meet, then walk over to the swim meet's also a pink out, so you can wear the same outfit as you wear to the football game, and then you can get your full share of Westminster Sports Friday, as well as basketball tryouts started this week, and wrestling has also started. So, we'll keep you updated on all the winter sports in the coming weeks and months, and best of luck to all of the sports in your season ahead.
Yeah, so remember to watch on NFHS for all of those, and stay tuned on the podcast, because we're going to tell you a lot about it and get a few more interviews. So let's end with that. Thank you guys for coming on. We hope you enjoy the interviews, and remember to turn on notifications. Follow YouTube at Westminster WCAT.
We're trying to chase down a different WCAT on YouTube, we're pretty close. Last time I checked, we're within 500.
So let's subscribe.
Subscribe.
Follow on Twitter for all information, and go Cats.